College admission standards are one of the primary reasons financial literacy is not taught in schools across this country. High schools are teaching so that kids can go to college, but because of that, there's a lack of time that they can dedicate toward financial literacy and a lack of rigor that they can have students apply toward this learning topic. And because of it, students graduate completely unprepared for the financial realities of life. Let's get into the history of college standards and also what can be changed to help to improve that so we have better student outcomes. Now, back in 1900, the College Board was formed. And back then, they required testing to be passed to get into college. And you're going to find the testing and what they were measuring is very similar to the topics being taught today. They measured English, topic taught, foreign language, mainly Latin and Greek, but changed since then, but foreign language, history, mathematics, and science. Also, some social science in there as well. So, all that kids had to do back then was to pass these subjects and they were admitted in. They weren't required to take them in high school, but even then, high schools were teaching so they can get admitted into college. Now, in 1909, things changed because the Carnegie Unit came about, and you're going to see very similar characteristics on how we're teaching today with the Carnegie Unit. Now, that names may sound familiar to you. Andrew Carnegie, he's a businessman, well known in the steel industry. If he was here today, he'd be the richest man in the world. And because the education system was brought from that Prussian model to train their soldiers to be obedient and follow rules, many industrialists back in the day invested into education because they wanted trained workers. And he came up with the Carnegie Unit, which is described as 40 to 45-minute periods per week, consisting of 36 weeks or more. And a quarter of that time should be invested outside of class studying that. Now, the reason I share that, it's relevant because years later, colleges started to require the completion of a certain amount of Carnegie units to be admitted, as well as passing standardized tests. And if we fast forward to today, this is from the National Association of College Admission Counselors, very similar to what was required in 1900s: English, algebra, math, algebra, geometry, algebra 2, etc. Science, biology, chemistry, physics, social studies, government, history, etc. Some still require foreign language and art. So since the 1900s, in fact, 1900 specifically, we have not changed our college admission standards very little, right? They're the same core subjects, and financial literacy is nowhere to be seen. Career planning is nowhere to be seen. It's missing core things that 100% of students need to live a self-sufficient life where they can contribute to society and they don't have this burden of debt and other things weighing them down for their entire lives. And that's a major problem. In if we look at just the basics things in life, how much things have changed. In 1900s, people got around on horse and buggy, right? And nowadays, they're in flying cars, self-driving cars. It's a transportation, planes, trains. Everything's out there here today. So it's a vastly different world. And in fact, I did a video on my report card back in 1991 compared with a kid's report card that graduated in 2023, exact same subjects. There's a few nuances, but pretty much the exact same subjects were required. And the reason being, because of college admission standards. It's holding back the financial education, it's holding back career planning, it's holding back entrepreneurship education. And those topics will benefit 100% of students. When we look at subject matter like math or science, especially advanced math and advanced science, that will benefit about 10% of people in the country total, right? Most people will never use that again in their life after school. And if we look at STEM jobs out there, it's about 6%, 6 to 7% of jobs. So a very small percentage of people, but yet a subject that benefits 100% of people, that's needed today more than ever in history, is still absent from college admission standards. The other problem is college is really, a lot of people think, is a failed model. If we look at a few things, first, the entire high school career is focused on meeting these college admission standards so students can go there, but only 40% of people go to college. So 60% of people that don't go to college have no intention to go to college, that don't want to even think about it, will not benefit. So they're being taught subjects that will never benefit them. Additionally, a third of students that start college drop out. So they drop out. And a large reason being is due to financial reasons. In fact, the biggest reason they drop out is due to financial reasons. Next, this is a scary one, and this is from Insider Education. More than 45% of those that do graduate, so they graduate, 45% of those that earn their degree a decade after they earn their degree are working in a job that does not require a degree. So they're considered underemployed. So they've gone through college, they get their diploma, they're doing everything right. And a decade later, 10 years later, they're still working a job that does not require a degree. To me, that's a failure. To me, I don't see how anybody, any business today that doesn't change their standards for over the last 100 years would even be in existence. But for some reason, it's okay for our kids. The world is a completely different place. It's economically challenging. There's so much opportunity available today as well. And we're failing to teach a subject that benefits 100% of students. Instead, we're churning out this people with the same exact knowledge. It doesn't make sense to me just from a level. I always think of things, I always try to break things down into a tribal level. If I had a tribe of 100 people, I wouldn't want them to be studying the same exact subject matter. I'd want to diversify that, right? I want somebody that could build shelter, somebody that could catch fish, somebody that can grow food, somebody that can do art, somebody that can, be a counselor, a religious leader. I'd want to nurture those different things. Instead, they put everybody in a box to meet these outdated guidelines. And it's holding back what I think is the most important subject because it benefits 100% of students. And when I say financial literacy, I'm also inclusive of the income side of financial literacy, career and entrepreneurship. So financial literacy benefits 100% of students. It's the core thing that directly relates to their core human needs, physiological needs, security needs, love and belonging needs, and yet it's absent. It's time for the college admission standards to change. That will free up high schools, that'll free up policymakers, that will free up administrators to implement more rigorous financial education that will have a real benefit to our students.